we are picking up the story of Tycho Brahe with the appearance of the supernova, the unpredictable appearance of the supernova in 11th November 1572. And I didn't emphasize so much the
Sure.
of the supernova in the constellation called Cassiopeia. Yes, somebody wants to say something?
So it was like it was just meant for him. It was
Yeah.
made for him.
Yeah, kind of like it came at the right time in his life when he was kind of choosing one thing or the other, dabbling in both. And then the supernova occurred, and there was a big problem about the supernova. See, the problem was that people said that there cannot be a new star that appears out of nowhere suddenly. The reason was because of the dogmatic belief that people had at that time, particularly in the Christian religion, the Christian faith, that what was changing was only changing on earth. Everything beyond the earth was never changing, it was cosmologically fixed. Okay, so the only challenge that was about the appearance of comets and the appearance of shooting stars. And the belief at that time was that the shooting stars were actually what we called as a sublunary phenomena, which means that it happened between Earth and the Moon. So therefore, it was not something that happened in the cosmos out there. Now, that is the reason why they said that when objects like the asteroids move, you are able to see them moving because they are close enough for us to observe their movement. Objects like that are very, very far off, like the stars in particular, they are fixed in the firmament and they never move, and there can never be anything new that appears over there. The appearance of this supernova of 1572 put all that into question. The only thing that needed to be done was for astronomers to observe this object because it was there for several weeks to be observed, right? And to tell whether the movement of this star is occurring or not occurring. Okay, if the star moved, then they could say that it is something that is a sublunary phenomena, so something that we don't have to worry about. There is nothing new. The cosmology is where it should be, and the work of God continues. But if they found out that this star did not move, then they are in big trouble because it means that the cosmology is not fixed and new things can appear now and then. Okay, because of this, there was an enormous rush among the great astronomers of that time to accurately tell the position of this particular supernova in the constellation Cassiopeia. Now, the problem was that astronomers at that time, including Maestlin, if you remember, because I think by the time, not I think, I know that by the time Maestlin has become the chief astronomer of his kingdom. Okay, so Maestlin contributed his own figures. Similarly, other astronomers, well-known astronomers, also contributed their own figures. But because of the poor equipment that they used, right, they could not give an accurate measurement of things. And here is where Tycho's genius came into play. See, Tycho was wealthy and he had amassed excellent equipment. Right? I was talking to you yesterday about the staff, the Jacob staff, and also the astronomical, what is this called? Quadrant. Okay? Because of the availability of excellent equipment, many of which he designed and got made himself, Tycho Brahe gave the best and the most accurately measured position of the supernova. And he confirmed that the supernova did not move at all. And in one stroke, he put the entire known astronomy of that time and this whole idea of the sublunary spheres and the extralunary spheres and what happened only within the sublunary sphere. The things that are there outside the sublunary sphere do not move, do not change their positions, and therefore that is the work of God. Everything got challenged. Okay, and because of this, he became very famous too. Um, the rest of the story I will go over fairly quickly. This is the more interesting part, the appearance of the supernova. He wrote a book on this, the Nova Stella, it was called. I just I'll just switch to the whiteboard so you can see the name of the book, the Nova Stella. And this book makes him an instant celebrity, not just among astronomers, but also among the intelligent people of the world at that time. And so famous does he become at such a young age that, like I was telling you, the regent at that time, Frederick II, who was saved by his foster father,
Sir,
remember? Yeah,
yes, sir. This book was written by Tycho Brahe. No, no.
the Nova Stella was written by Tycho Brahe. Okay,
Hmm.
that King Frederick II invites him. I'll write the name of the king. Invites Tycho de Brahe to his court. Oh wait, she went out. Okay, and basically asks him to be the chief astronomer of his kingdom. And not only that, he tells him, like, what is it that you want? How much money do you want? What do you really want to do? You are going to be the chief astronomer of the kingdom, right? And Tycho's plans are very clear. You remember he got this feeling when he was young, when the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn worked out very badly, and now he had the equipment to make accurate observations of astronomical objects. So he simply said, I want to set up an astronomical observatory from where I am going to correct all the charts which have been wrong for 1500 years. Just give me a space, give me money to set up this observatory, and I will make your kingdom the most famous kingdom in astronomy by actually charting the real position of astronomical objects, including finding out the orbits of all the known planets at that time. Okay, so this was kind of what Tycho Brahe had in his mind. One moment. This is kind of what Tycho de Brahe had in his mind, and the king said, "Very well, it shall be done." And after looking around for a while, um, they found an island. It was like a dream come true. Okay, so they found an island of the,
That the king.
okay, which was this island, the island of Queen. Can you see the picture now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Can you believe there is an island like this in existence in somewhere in Europe? Okay, and that this island was offered up to Tycho de Brahe to set up his observatory, and also he was given a sinecure, they call it, a salary for his own expenses. And on top of that, all the land attached to this particular island that can be harvested, I mean, it can be put under agriculture, harvested, and the money that comes from selling of those, whatever it is that they produce over there, grains, I suppose, that also would come to him for use in making his laboratory. And thus was set up the great Uraniborg laboratory, as they called it, on the island of Wien. This was the sort of observatory that he built over there. I think this is an artist's rendition of the observatory that he built.
Yeah.
Okay, and this observatory, the Uraniborg Observatory, um, uh, became the best observatory that was there in the world at that time. And Tycho lived over there in great style. He was a man who was very much given to food, drink, partying, great banquets, inviting people from all over the place. So it was like one great big party that was going on all the time, in the background of which Tycho did some amazing observatory work. Okay, so he apparently corrected the position of some 700 odd stars at that point of time, correcting both the charts of Aristarchus and of Ptolemy in the process. And at some point of time, they added another 300 or so stars just to make up the number 1000. So the accurate observations were about 770, and they added another 330 or so to it, and just to make it one whole number. But 1000 such observations were credited to Tycho de Brahe. Apart from that, he also made very accurate observations about the positions of the planetary systems, and these records were made over a period of 20 years. Okay, so I'll just stop here because I think people are raising their hand. Any questions? Anybody wants to say something?
Sir, can you write down the name of the observatory and the island it was built on?
Yeah. Okay. So the island was called the. This is of course the current spelling, and it's the anglicized spelling. It was called Wien, and the observatory was called the Uraniborg. Uraniborg Observatory. Yeah.
So while he was doing all these observations,
Yeah.
was the common belief like the heliocentric model or the geocentric model?
I'm not sure about what this period of time people believed in. I think that by and large, I think the general public would have still believed the geocentric model. And the church, I think, religion also propagated the geocentric model because it worked very well for their theological purposes. Earth is in the center, heaven above, hell below. So it became easier to, arrange for all that. If you say that the whole thing is flat, this is how it is, we are at the center, above, below, etc. But I think among the intelligent people, especially after the translation of Persian, Arabic accounts of the Greek astronomers before them, the idea, and also the work, of course, of Copernicus, which by this time would have been banned, the intelligent people gave sufficient consideration to those ideas as well. So they looked at the arguments that were given by Copernicus, they probably looked at the arguments that were given by the ancient Greeks, looked at the fact that they based whatever they said on terms of the observations, geometry, and events that took place. Many of them might have been converted, if secretly, to the idea of the heliocentric model. But I will come to that shortly. Okay, Tycho de Brahe himself wanted to use all these observations to actually justify a system of putting the entire universe together. So he wanted to make a model which was not based on some fanciful idea of how things were, but actually based on data that he had collected. Okay, so that is why he painstakingly collected information for about 20 years on all of these objects, the stars, the planets, and whatever else was there, the moon also, and the sun. So having collected this information, what Tycho wanted to do was that he wanted to give his own model of what the entire universe looked like. Okay, and that is when an important event happens. King Frederick II dies, and in his place comes his son, whose name I will tell you in a moment. Let me just